When I was a baby, pretty much only just starting to develop memories, I remember being a very fussy child, and one of the rules that I had absolutely no compromises with was always making sure the TV was on when I went to sleep. Back then, it was impossible for me to fall asleep without the murmuring sounds of something in the background, and my poor mum only had a handful of VHS tapes to entertain me with. But one of the standout films that I would always pick to lull me to sleep was Space Jam. Remember that movie? It was the massively ambitious crossover between Michael Jordan, big name basketball star of the 90s, and Bugs Bunny, and the rest of the Looney Tunes. Bit of a weird concept to start with, but it happened. Now, I've always held this movie up as being some kind of cinematic masterpiece. I mean, just look at it. It brought Bugs Bunny into the real world. And everyone my age that I've spoken to about this film hails it as a national treasure. It's the highest grossing basketball film of all time and has made $6 billion including merch and games. But I wanted to look back on it, because I gotta ask, is this film really as good as my nostalgia is telling me? Space Jam was released in November 1996. It's literally 2 months younger than me at this point. I've literally heard this film so many times that I have the entire sound of the movie burned into my memory. I know every single beat of this film. So let's roll back time a little bit and see if Space Jam still holds up. Also, I'm making some major changes to the gaming content on my channel over the next couple of months, so if you're not in the know, do check out my pinned Twitter post at DazzVideos to keep up to date on some major changes coming to my channel. It's real, actual big stuff. Okay, what do we have here? A nice view of the stars, some incredibly 90s looking text. You know, you never realize how dated films are until you look at the fonts they use. And No, this film didn't age well at all. Nothing like a singer-songwriter peeing on underage girls to ruin the first few seconds of a 90s cult classic. No, but really, let's give this film a fighting chance. The movie begins with a young Michael Jordan practicing his basketball skills and telling his dad of his big dreams to play at the NBA and retire into baseball. His dad is pretty supportive, saying, hey, if you manage to achieve all of that, then by the end, you'll be able to fly. So young Michael runs towards the basket, readying up to do his signature move as the film quick cuts towards modern day Michael Jordan repeating the same move at the NBA, giving us this amazingly punctual transition ahead a few years and some loudly bombastic opening credits. You know, just the perfect material to fall asleep to for 3 to 4 year old Dazz. Hasn't every kid got a distinct memory of going to sleep while Come On and Slam rocks in the background? Only me? Damn. Anyway, as Michael achieves his dreams and announces his retirement, we then zoom past the moon and out to Moron Mountain. Also, apparently the black rectangle here is the monolith from 2001's A Space Odyssey. I still need to get around to watching that film, but it's one of those things you'll certainly miss as a kid. And yeesh, just look at that CGI work. I mean, I'm sure it was good for the 90s, but look at those people over there. They're like toys. Thank goodness it's only something in passing. So it's here we meet our antagonist, Big Boss Man Mr. Swackhammer. Is that really his name? And the minions are called Nerdlocks? When was that discussed? Huh.
We need new attractions.
Right?
New ones.
And it's Danny Devito voicing the big boss. Moron Mountain is a declining space amusement park, so in the hunt for more attractions, they decide to hunt for something loony, the Looney Tunes specifically. And with that, Mr. Swackhammer forces his minions to bring over the Looney Tunes.
What if they can't come? Make them.
Cool.
Make them.
That probably wouldn't fly in films today. In the 90s, it's fine, but now? And apparently this tunnel comes with its own orchestral number the deeper you go. Huh. The minions meet Bugs Bunny, and after Bugs' usual tricks, they threaten him and say the Looney Tunes are coming with them. It's at this point that I kinda remember switching off on the film, because I don't want to see more Michael Jordan content, not without the cartoons anyway. I've already skipped the baseball scene so far. But I did finally realize that Michael's henchman, Stan Podolak, although obviously he has been in all sorts of things, the pieces I remember him for specifically is his voice acting work as Al from Toy Story 2 and Dojo from Shaolin Showdown. And apparently he's a voice in Tomodachi Life as well. Strange. Anyway, this sequence has all sorts of extra filling, an aggressively affectionate dog, Michael's unhappy son coming back from a baseball game, the family's cooking chicken? Okay, whatever, most of that's pretty unneeded, but sure. And as the kids are watching Looney Tunes, the cartoon is interrupted as they're all beckoned to a cartoon union meeting, apparently. I didn't pick that up as a kid, and the channel goes stale. The Looney Tunes all gather and agree to defend themselves with a game of basketball. It's only fair.
Okay, it is in the rulebook.
And the aliens are tiny. Basketball's their worst game. Except they have the secret power to swipe the talent from the best players in the world when they visit an NBA match. Oh, and I completely forgot, the Lakers refused to play because of the mysterious ailment, putting on gas masks and getting dressed in the hall because of the talent theft. Huh. The Looney Tunes are practicing on their basketball game when the aliens pop up and show off their newfound talent, transforming them into horrifically giant monsters. Suddenly a much bigger threat for the Tunes, and genuinely, this is just horrifying to see. Just the climactic music and the flashes of their skeletons, disgusting, but beautifully animated. Oh, and here's Bill Murray, just cause, and Larry Bird and Michael Jordan, they're there too. They're all playing golf. This scene's admittedly a little bit dry. The humor comes in with Bill asking if he has a shot in the NBA, bit random, but apparently it's based off of a commercial he did once.
It's because I'm white, isn't it?
And that's about it, until Bugs Bunny tweaks the game and pulls MJ deep underground. And now the film properly begins. At this point we're 30 minutes into the 88-minute film, and only now does MJ meet the Tunes? Okay. It's weird, it literally takes a third of the film to start properly, but it doesn't actually feel too badly paced. Maybe one or two scenes can be missed out, but pretty much everything flows quite nicely so far. Also, the fact that this film is 88 minutes long was a surprise to me. So suddenly now, only Michael is the live action part of the screen. It's all green screens from here. They have a broken down practicing court, but all the means to fix it up, and honestly, these VFX don't look too bad. It's not absolutely flawless, but it still holds up today. I'll point out when anything looks particularly bad. So next, the monsters appear. Now you'd think when some 9 to 10 foot bipedal beasts come crashing up to you, you'd be a little bit thrown off. But Michael Jordan is a rock, apparently. Very superstar, very hero. A little off, but hey, you need a strong protagonist, I guess. Except next, they roll him up into a freaking basketball, and I just, ugh, look at that CGI work. That's some horrifying stuff. And even when it's over, MJ holds his ground and accepts to play some basketball. Crazy. But still, we're a third of the way in at this point. Now, forget the cartoons, it's time for a side plot with the talentless NBA stars and some jokes that went over your head.
You find yourself unable to perform?
No.
I'm just asking.
Back at Warner Brothers land, basketball practice is abysmal, but Lola Bunny makes her debut appearance and hey, she's good. She's also probably the root cause of a lot of furries being born and more jokes that went over your head. But once she's gone, MJ requests someone goes back and gets his sneakers and shorts from his house back in 3D land. Okay. So Bugs and Daffy sneak into MJ's house. They talk about being screwed for not seeing merchandising money and they awaken MJ's kids. They are confronted by that aggressive dog again, who's weirdly entirely green screened too for this sequence. Could they not get him to work on the actual set? That's weird. Anyway, the kids help them get what they need and send them off on their way. So the talentless ones, you know, the most investing side plots, they apparently next go to a tarot card reading where a fortune teller accurately explains what's going on, but it's so loony that they don't believe her. Classic.
What kind of Mickey Mouse organization would name their team the Ducks?
Another joke you probably missed if you were 3 like me. All suited up, MJ is ready. Also, it's clearly the start of the editor's green screen attempts for the film as his backlight feathering above his head animates a little bit too much for this moving shot. Also, Stan now appears down in the world. Another scene that completely went over my head is all of basketball being cancelled this season. I guess it's just not very interesting and very, very minor of a point. So now here we are, 51 minutes in, and the big match can finally begin. The last third of the movie. The preparation montage with each character here is still really good, and hey, even Danny DeVito showed up. And yes, Tumblr was right, the Martian is the referee because he's neutral, he's a Looney Tune and an alien, you know, cool details. At this point, clearly it's the big moment of the film, but it's also pretty basic in terms of what actually happens. It's kinda your standard high-stakes basketball game, you know? The first round goes badly, the Monstars are decimating, but occasionally the Looney Tunes do score. Clearly there's an inkling of hope there, but something needs to be done.
Don't ever call me doll.
Halftime, Mr. Swackhammer confronts the Monstars for no real reason and Stan spies on them. He learns of the stealing talent trick the Nerdlux used and gets immediately sniffed out by the others. Over to the Tunes and they feel defeated, naturally. Stan finally arrives beaten up and with that info. Why did the Monstars let him go? I don't know. Things finally turn around when Bugs introduces Michael's secret stuff, entirely fictitious hope that hypes everybody up. This gun joke is literally the highlight of the movie, and it's so weirdly chucked in too. It's just a 5-second moment, not even the music keeps going or anything, like it's a literal Vine-paced joke. Weird. It's at this point that the tunes finally make their mark in the game. Don't ask about the rules of the game, anything goes apparently. This is where the writers can really spread the ideas of how loony a basketball game can get, and honestly, it's all pretty entertaining for kids and for the whole family. There's all sorts of character cameos and fan service to enjoy, and the tunes manage to catch right up. Also, Tweety Bird goes crazy. With things looking up for the tunes, Swackhammer calls a timeout as he now wants MJ instead of all of the Looney Tunes. And this guy's thing is all about slavery and spreading suffering onto his workers, which is admittedly kinda dark, but somehow it doesn't feel too badly dramatic considering how it's laid out. It's just generic bad guy plans. And thankfully, it doesn't have too much of a dark undertone, which it definitely could have explored if it really wanted to. MJ makes an agreement to be taken in if he loses, but otherwise they continue. And in this next bout, the Monstars crush them, using any physical tricks they can think of. The rules of the game have very much gone off the rails here, and towards the end of the bout, Bugs saves Lola from being horrendously crushed, acting as the final marking point of needing another time out. The Looney Tunes are crushed physically and emotionally, but forget that, we have a cinematic error to point out. Clearly, they didn't have the shot for MJ at this angle, so they tried to sneak it past by using a screenshot of him and passing it off as him still being there. But no, it just looks like a cardboard cutout. Everything else in this film surprisingly holds up still. The green screen work is good. It flows pretty nicely for every shot as long as you don't pause too much, but here someone kinda dropped the ball, and this is about as good as they could do. Still, I never noticed for years, and the people I showed this off to don't seem to have noticed before either. The team lets loose Stan as their last resort, and Stan is immediately destroyed, but not before he gets his moment and scores. Flattened, he recovers by being inflated. It comes with the crux of some pretty bad CGI, but it passes. And then also a fart joke. Iconic movie, fart joke. But I'd still defend it, saying it's slightly more creative than modern day fart jokes. It's a deflating balloon joke, not just a guy giggling. And the skunk character finds it smelly too. It has a tad more comedic weight to it. I probably laughed at it. With that interesting turn of events and 10 seconds left on the clock, MJ discovers the cartoony logic. In Looney Tune land, anything goes for anyone. But they still need to replace their 5th slot with someone who isn't broken, and so... just cuz...
Whoa! I didn't know Dan Aykroyd was in this picture.
Oh, I get that joke now! So Bill suggests an aggressive basketball play that the others completely shoot down and go with MJ's plan to just get the ball to him. Kind of a useless and unfunny little scene. Also, how did Bill Murray get here?
Just how did you get here, anyway?
Producer's a friend of mine. Just had a teamster come and drop me off, you know.
Well, that's how it goes.
With the team all filled in, it's time to finish the game. And so with one final moment, the surviving team members all pass correctly, get it to Michael Jordan just like Bill Murray suggested, ironically enough, and with that, like his father says way back in 1987, Michael Jordan flies. And just like the cartoons around him, his arms stretch further and further for that final cartoony logic point-scoring win. The Looney Tunes win, Mr. Swackhammer is angry, and after trying to punish the Monstars, they realize he doesn't have the same power over them as he used to at the beginning of the film. So they overpower him, shove him in a rocket, and send him to the moon. The villainy is over. So to wrap everything up, MJ whips out a basketball. I don't know how he knows how this process works, but whatever. The aliens give up their powers and join the Looney Tunes, or at least they wish to. Back to the real world, at MJ's baseball game, an alien spaceship appears, and out comes... No, not again. Oh, Kelly, don't ruin the bonus payoff. Still not finished just yet, because this is quite the elongated finale. MJ visits the talentless ones. Don't ask how he knows that they're all there. And with some very slow-paced but dramatic magical powers, he returns all of their talents. And after pushed more and more by his peers, Michael Jordan decides to come out of basketball retirement and joins back in the NBA. Everyone's happy, Bill Murray laments over how it could have been him, and with that, the basketball games continue. And honestly, even when watching this film in 2019, it still holds its own. I went into this really expecting some bad VFX and some outdated jokes, but it does damn well for itself. Upon release it had mixed reviews, but in hindsight, a lot of people have shown their adoration for Space Jam. Not to mention, for its 25th anniversary, we're all being graced with Space Jam 2, with LeBron James and a modern day approach, I imagine. Though it was interesting to read the other potential sequels that are in the works, like Spy Jam with Jackie Chan and Skate Jam with Tony Hawk. Those would have been really interesting to see, but well. At least Space Jam is here to stay, with its eternally outdated website and strangely blue looking poster. Let me know, what are your memories of Space Jam, and do you agree with my thoughts? Maybe I still have some nostalgia goggles on, but I think Space Jam is still pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Don't forget to check out my Twitch page for my JRPG marathon throughout all of September, and check out my Twitter to learn of the big changes I'm bringing to the channel. But otherwise, for now, my name's been Dazz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.